Greetings from Ohio, which joined the Union March 1st, 1803, as the 17th state. It ranks 7th in population, with well over 11 million residents. From fields of corn to the most competitive football fields in the nation, perhaps no state offers a better snapshot of Middle America than the Buckeye State.
Ohio became, from a very early point, a microcosm of the United States in its entirety.
Ohio has done more than decide elections. It has provided the candidates. 7 U.S. presidents were born here: Harrison, Grant, Hayes, Garfield, McKinley, Taft, and Harding.
Almost always the ones that students never remember. They seem to get lost in history.
You have the fattest president in William Howard Taft, who allegedly got stuck in his own bathtub. You also, of course, have 2 of the most corrupt presidents in American history, between Grant and Harding. Historians, every single time they're polled, put them right down there at the bottom of the list.
More unfortunate still were Presidents Garfield and McKinley. Both were assassinated while in office. Maybe that's part of the reason Ohio's presidential roll call doesn't quite measure up to Virginia's.
I mean, Virginia has Washington, they have Jefferson, they have Madison. And Ohio has Grant and Hayes and Harding and Taft. It's just really not a fair fight, unfortunately.
Ohio may be second in presidents, but it does have a number of notable firsts. The first professional baseball team was the Cincinnati Red Stockings in the 1860s. And the forerunner to the National Football League was created in Canton in 1920. Another Ohio first is more obscure, but just as important, at least for law enforcement.
It was back in the 1890s. It was electronic, and it ran 15 miles an hour top speed and had a big brass bell on the front, and that was the alarm. Look out, here we come.
When it comes to firsts, however, it's hard to top this one, the invention of the airplane.
The Wright brothers, a lot of people think that they're from North Carolina. Well, actually, they're Ohioans, born and raised and had their bike shop.
The state just seems to have a special relationship with people reaching for the sky. Case in point, astronauts John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth in 1962, and Neil Armstrong, the first man to set foot on the moon in 1969. Both come from Ohio.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And the ultimate high flyer, Superman, was the 1933 brainchild of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, a pair of high school buddies from Cleveland. Long before Ohio took to the air, lakes and rivers were its principal means of transport.
Between Cleveland on Lake Erie and Portsmouth on the Ohio River. And at that moment, the state of Ohio is in the middle of a route that connects the Gulf of Mexico to Europe. And that is one of the reasons Ohio rises to greatness. It is in the right place.
Ohio's strategic location, combined with bountiful natural resources and potential sources of power, made the state one of the preeminent manufacturing centers in America. Cleveland and Akron, located on the Cuyahoga River with easy access to Lake Erie, led the way. Oil tycoon John D. Rockefeller opened his first refinery in Cleveland in 1863. 8 years later, Benjamin Goodrich established his rubber factory in Akron. Other heavy industries like iron, steel, and coal also thrived, but at a price. In an era of little or no environmental regulation, untold tons of toxic industrial waste ended up in Ohio's waterways. By the 1960s, Lake Erie was virtually dead, and the Cuyahoga was horribly polluted.
The Cuyahoga River, which is the raison d'etre for the establishment of the city of Cleveland, became, during the city's period of industrialization, the sewer for the city.
On June 22nd, 1969, the river caught fire. Even though the blaze lasted just 30 minutes, the event captured the nation's attention.
Boy, when your river catches fire, just how polluted does that thing have to be?
Incredibly, this wasn't the first time the Cuyahoga had caught fire. Far from it, in fact.
The fire in 1912 killed 5 people. The fire in 1936 went on for 5 days. The fire in 1952 ended up costing 30 times the damage of the fire in 1969.
This event that just caught the public's consciousness, I think, jarred a lot of people into thinking that we have to do something about our environment.
Though few thought so at the time, the '69 Cuyahoga fire was something of a blessing in disguise. helping to spark a movement that led to the Clean Water Act of 1972 and the creation of the Federal Environmental Protection Agency.
And since '69, that river has been cleaned up. It's become a recreational avenue.
It's nice to know that one of Ohio's most popular recreational events produces no pollution at all, the annual Soapbox Derby.
A man named Myron Scott found 5 boys just racing little homemade cars down this hill.
The older cars were made out of anything from an ironing board to orange crates, whatever you could find. When you put a set of wheels on it and you race that.
Scott, a photographer for the Dayton Daily News, decided to organize a local race. It was the Great Depression, the summer of 1933, and 362 kids raced.
He was giving the second place prize out, which was a boy's bicycle. And he thought it was an all-boys event until this girl took off her hat for her boy's bicycle. Girls never raced again until 1971. But, you know, the runner-up in the very first race, Alice Johnson, got herself a bicycle.
Today, over 45% of the entrants are girls.
Okay, Max. I think that girls are better at soapbox derby racing than boys.
1, 2, 3.
Qualifying races are now held around the world, with the All-American Soapbox Derby taking place each summer in Akron.
To win your local, you have to win that to go to nationals, and I finally won, so that was amazing. I was crying for like an hour. I finally got to go to Akron.
Whether it's a case of using gravity or defying it, Ohio has emerged as an industrial and political giant in America. It more than lives up to its unofficial slogan, Ohio, the heart of it all.
Look here, I'm talking about America, sweet America.